Here's the deal. I am an indecisive Gemini, and I will not make apologies. Believe it or not, an hour ago, there was twice the amount of books on this TBR, and this is as narrowed down as I possibly could get it. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm here to tell you about all of the books I would like to read in the month of August. Couple things to get out of the way first. Number one, I must say the obligatory, oh my god, I cannot believe it's already August. Just get that out of the way. Number two, as is completely on brand, I have an entirely unrealistic TBR. There are currently 28 books on my TBR. So without further ado, let's talk about all of the books I want to get to in August. First, we have some carryovers that I started in July, and it is 5 p.m. on July 31st. So the likelihood of me finishing all of these is low, but I am in the middle of The 7-Year Slip, Unfortunately Yours, Dark Corners, and A Twisted Love Story. So I will probably add these to my August TBR if and when I don't finish them by midnight tonight. Alright, books that are new to my TBR for August. Let's go through them. The first one, I don't know what genre this is. I know it's historical fiction. I don't know if there's romance elements, if there's thriller elements. I believe it's about a rocket in 1956, but there's also something about a Big Apple bomber who's been terrorizing the citizens of New York, and somehow this rocket gets involved in trying to solve this crime. So I don't know whether it would be categorized as a mystery. I'm not a big historical fiction person, but my friend is currently reading all of her books and absolutely loving them. And because it takes place in New York City, and more specifically at Radio City, which I actually have worked at before, I feel like it might be fun. So we're going to give it a try, see what happens. Now, the next stack here is, I believe, mostly mystery thrillers. So I have The Family Plot. This is not a new release. It came out in 2021, but it is new to my TBR. I believe this is about a true crime obsessed family. Delilah's twin brother, Andy, disappears when she's 16, and then they end up finding him buried when they go to bury their father years later. Next, we have Sign Here by Claudia Lux. This I got from Book of the Month in October of last year, and I've been meaning to get around to it ever since then. This is about people who work in hell. Sounds like a fun time. I want to read. Next up, we have one of very few backlist Lisa Jewels I haven't gotten to yet. This is Then She Was Gone, and I don't know why I've not picked it up yet. I'm actually surprised because I've read almost all of her books and I do love her writing. I've been putting it off long enough, so this is the month that we are going to read it. Along with, she has another new release that is coming out this month. I'm pretty sure it's actually confirmed as an add-on for Book of the Month for this month, so I will definitely be ordering it in my August box. I believe it is called None of This Is True, and every person who's read it so far has raved about it, so I can't wait to get my hands on it. Next up, we have The Soulmate. This is about a couple who lives on a cliff that is known as a place where people go to take their lives. This woman's husband is very good at trying to talk people literally off the ledge. However, he goes out one night to stop a woman from jumping. The wife looks away for a moment, looks back, and the woman is gone, and he is holding his arms out, so it almost appears as if he pushed her. Next up, we have The Whispers by Ashley Audrine. This is the same author that wrote The Push, and this sounds very similar, having to do with small town mystery, specifically with a mother and a child and the intricacies of motherhood. And this woman gets into a fight with her son at a neighborhood barbecue, and then a couple days later he ends up falling out the window of his bedroom, and so I think that people suspect that maybe there's more to it than that, and that maybe the mother is involved. Next up, we have Murder Your Employer. I was trying my best to save this for the fall because I think it's like a dark academia, but I just want to pick it up right now. I want to pick it up right now. I can't stop staring at it. So this is going to be my first dark academia, and we're going to pretend, because it's so close to fall, we're going to pretend it's fall in August. The next little stack I have are all romances that are not new releases, but new to my TBR. So we have Addicted to You, which is the first book in the Addicted series. So I want to try and get through this one. If I'm obsessed, then maybe I'll pick up the other two, but I figured to narrow down my TBR just a bit, I'm only adding the first one for now. Then we have Done and Dusted. This is a small town cowboy romance, which I've heard good things about, and the cover is so cute, so I bought it and I want to read it. Don't know what it's about. Next, we have a book that is completely out of left field. I have not heard a single person talk about it at all, but the title and the cover stood out to me when I was at Barnes & Noble one day, and it takes place in the Scottish Highlands, so it's got to be good, right? I guess it's a woman from Manhattan who moves to Scotland for a year, and that's all I know, but it takes place in Scotland, so it has Scottish men, Scottish whiskey. You had me at Scottish. Next up, we have Astrid Parker Doesn't Fail. This I bought a couple months ago. This is the second companion book to Delilah Green Doesn't Care. And then the last romance I have on my TBR is Rock Bottom Girl by Lucy Score. This is a backlist Lucy Score that I bought a few months ago at Barnes & Noble. It's about teachers or coaches at a high school, and so for some reason it felt like I couldn't pick it up until like back to school season. We are pushing it a little bit, making August be back to school season, but listen, I make my own rules and I'm gonna read this month, hopefully. We're almost done, I promise. The final stack is also the most intimidating and unrealistic stack in this entire TBR. So the final stack are all fantasy books. I have been craving fantasy over the last few months, but I have not been able to bring myself to pick them up. There is something about summer that just screams thriller romance. Every single time I've tried to pick up a fantasy over the last couple of months, I've either lost my attention or got intimidated by the size, but I am so over summer. I want it to be over. I'm ready for fall. I'm ready for winter. I'm ready for cozy vibes, and I'm just basically forcing myself to get back into my fantasy bag. Literally, I can guarantee you that I won't read most of these, but I have options, and I'm hoping that one or two of them will reignite the spark that I have for fantasy and push me right into the fall winter season where fantasy is pretty much all I want to read. The first book on this TBR is the most intimidating, hands down, and that is The Way of Kings by Brandon Sanderson. Don't be confused by the fact that it is two books. The British imprint that I bought these from split it into two because it's that damn long. I think this book is over 1,000 pages, so they split it up into like two 600-page books. So this is the first book in the Stormlight Archive series. I am definitely a newbie when it comes to Brandon Sanderson. I have read the first Mistborn trilogy, and I read the young adult sci-fi series that he has, Skyward and Starsight, but everybody talks about Way of Kings, and I'm tired of hearing about it and not knowing what everyone's talking about. It's so intimidating. It is over 1,000 pages. I believe it's a pretty intricate political fantasy, and it's been on my TBR for far too long. So I'm hoping that I can get through this in the month of August. I may even do a dedicated reading vlog to this specifically, reading The Way of Kings for the first time. I'm being completely optimistic about it because I think if I can just get into it, I will love it. I'm pretty sure. Next up, we have Project Hail Mary. This is another very intimidating one, mainly just because it's sci-fi, but everybody loves this book. People that don't even love sci-fi love this book, and I want to know what the hype is all about. The next book on my fantasy TBR is A Court of Silver Flames. I have not read this yet. I've read all the others in this series except for this one. I don't know why I stopped here. I can't explain myself, but I really want to do a full Sarah J. Maas reread before the newest Crescent City book comes out. So I want to read this and then maybe do a reread of Throne of Glass, and then if there's time, do another reread of these. But in order to do a reread, I have to read it for a first time. So I want to get to this. She's a nice thick one. However, I flew through the other ones because it's just quick and easy writing. So I'm hoping that that will be the case for this too, and that the 800 pages will fly by. Next, I have Jade War. This is book 2 to the Greenbone saga. I read Jade City months ago and I absolutely loved it. And again, like with many of these, I don't know why I never picked this up right away after reading that. I think I just stopped being interested in fantasy at the time. But if I'm going to get back into fantasy, this is a series that I really do love, and I think that it would be a good place to start. Next up, we have Serpent and the Wings of Night by Carissa Broadbent. This is a, I want to say new adult fantasy romance, but maybe it is adult. I'm not too sure. Everyone has been raving about this duology. There's this one and then Ashes in the Star-Cursed King. Everyone has been raving about it. I only put the first book on my TBR because, again, I was trying to narrow things down. But if I love this as much as everyone is saying, I may go right into that one. This is about vampires, I think. I don't really know. I did read Daughter of No Worlds by Carissa Broadbent, and I'm not gonna lie, I didn't love it the way some other people do. So I'm a little bit wary going into this, but I'm cautiously optimistic. Only 2 more, guys, I swear. Next up, we have The Foxglove King. This is, I think, about poisoners, but I think it's also about necromancy and palace intrigue. I think someone has to be a spy in the palace for the prince or something. I don't really know. This is the stunning Fairy Loot edition. It's beautiful. I feel like it's so up my alley with the palace intrigue and the necromancy and everything. So if I'm gonna like a fantasy, there's a good chance that this would be one that I would like, right? I think. I don't know. And the final book on my August TBR is a reread, and that is Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. I'm dying to get to Hellbent. I was planning on rereading this and going straight into it like the week it came out. I don't know what happened, but then it felt like because this takes place in a school setting at Yale, it felt like it was only appropriate to read it during fall season. And so I put it off and I waited, but I want to get to Hellbent now that we're going into fall. So I'm thinking if I read Ninth House in August, I can do Hellbent in September, which is like the perfect month for it. So that's the plan. I need to reread this so I can read that because I literally remember nothing about this book except for like 2 of the names. That's pretty much it. That is everything that I may or may not read in the month of August. I'm not making any guarantees, but at least I have options. And I would say at least some of these will get read, right? Here's hoping, man. June was a very slumpy month for me, and July I got back into the swing of things. So I'm hoping that that carries through to August and that I have a really good reading month. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you're planning on reading in August. Let me know if I should prioritize any of these, and I will see you in my next video. Bye! That I have narrowed down for the month of August. It is called None of This Is True, I think. I'll wait.